the average age of death with COVID is, according to official national statistics? It's 82 years and 3 months. The average age of death normally, 81 years. Do you understand that we, because old people are dying? Do you see this graph? The last time we had this much death was 2008. That's the British Medical Journal. No, I came here to speak to this man, not your security. You have failed me.
Thank you. Okay.
I've been a Labour voter my entire life. You have failed to be the opposition. You have failed to ask whether lockdown was functioning.
Just behind. Can we just
Do you understand?
Shall we go on in?
Thousands of people have died because you have failed to do your job and ask the real question.
Keir Starmer's Christmas is turning into a real political nightmare. His proposal for peace talks with Ukraine has failed miserably, and Labour Party donors are rapidly reducing their support. Starmer's comments about Ukraine have caused a real shock in British politics. He suggested that Ukraine might have to give up part of its territory to end the war, as if forgetting that Russia is the aggressor. This idea, to put it mildly, caused a storm of indignation. The reaction was lightning fast and fierce. Starmer's allies tried their best to protect him, while his opponents did not miss the chance to attack. The Tories accused him of being soft on Putin, and even some Labour MPs were visibly shocked by his stance. The Labour Party was in complete disarray. There were reports of heated arguments in Westminster, where some MPs were furious that Starmer had undermined years of cross-party support for Ukraine. Others simply couldn't understand his comments and wondered if he had consulted with anyone before speaking. The reaction of Starmer's team was contradictory. They claimed that he had been misquoted. All in all, the situation is heating up and Starmer's future is hanging in the balance.
Well, I am telling you now, and I hope this goes out, you have failed this country. You have seriously failed. You have allowed our children to wear masks in school when it's never been any evidence for it.
On the front line, keeping people alive. So I really don't need lectures from you about this pandemic.
You've got one. Why? Can we come in? Okay. Good. It bloody easy to exciting for a Monday. I'm sorry, I am the landlord. He's the landlord. That man is not allowed in my pub. He's the landlord. I'm not going to physically hurt him. That man. That's assault. I am not bothering you. I am not bothering him. That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on.
Calm yourself down.
Get out of my pub.
The spokesman even tried to insist that Starmer had always been consistent in his views on Ukraine, but this failed to convince many. The consequences of his words went far beyond politics and hit him like a bolt from the blue. A source close to one of the major donors to the Labour Party said they were reviewing their support due to Starmer's comments on Ukraine. This potential loss of funding has only exacerbated the already serious damage, hitting the party's foundations. In fact, Starmer's blunder on Ukraine angered his allies, emboldened his opponents, confused his own party, and jeopardized Labour's financial support. It was a serious political failure that left him vulnerable to further attacks from his opponents. Starmer's mistake regarding Ukraine could have cost the Labour Party very dearly, and this feeling is growing every day. As for the consequences, donations can be worth millions. One major Labour donor threatened to cut off funding because of Starmer's comments. It wasn't just an empty threat, they were serious, and they weren't the only ones. More and more donors began to withdraw their support, which put the Labour Party headquarters in a critical position. Labour's financial conditions, already difficult, are now in serious danger. They were working hard to catch up with the Tories in fundraising, but this mess threatened to undo all the progress they had made. Their ambitious plans for the upcoming elections now look very shaky and uncertain.
Are we living in a Keir Starmer dictatorship? Rumours were swirling that Labour was going to cancel the local elections in England.
Why aren't they all going ahead?
And I would say, even before the white paper has been published,
maybe there's a problem with the line. Why aren't they going ahead, Minister?
Well, at the moment, the assumption is that elections are going ahead. However, it's usual in a process of reorganisation that when a council makes a request for reorganisation, that if there are elections taking place to a council that it essentially won't exist within the term of those elections, then you hold off the elections and you elect to a shadow body, and the shadow body basically is a form of the new councils that will follow.
And now we appear to have confirmation on this. Some local elections due to take place in May next year might now be delayed until 2027. Labour says that they want to postpone them because they're restructuring the councils. Some might not exist in a couple.
Sources say that the Labour Party has already lost more than £5 million, which was a serious blow to their election budget. Advertising campaigns, ground operations, all these important aspects require significant financial investments. At the moment, the treasury of the Labour Party looks pretty empty. In this regard, an emergency party meeting was called. Starmer found himself in a difficult situation. He urgently needed a victory, but desperation and frustration in politics often lead to serious mistakes, and he was on the verge of making a real mistake. The pressure was mounting from all sides. Labour MPs were nervous, the opposition was sharpening its knives, and Kemi Badenoch was probably confident in her chances of success. Since the financial situation of the Labour Party was critical, Starmer needed a victory. The Christmas address, which has become a tradition for UK leaders, seemed like a great opportunity. But could this festive event have serious consequences? Spoiler alert, it really had them. Starmer announced that he would deliver a Christmas message to the nation. Usually such speeches are simple: congratulate everyone on the holidays, say something encouraging about unity, and that's it. But Starmer managed to turn it into a political quagmire. The rumors spread quickly. Starmer's team argued about the content of the message. Some insisted that he touch on the topic of Ukraine, while others considered it a mistake.
So these local elections were seen as a referendum on Keir Starmer's government. He's currently the most unpopular Prime Minister of modern times, with an approval rating of somewhere in the region of -61. And this graph actually shows just how quickly his popularity has nosedived. He is sinking like the Titanic, and Labour are fearful of a monumental kicking in May. Angela Rayner has tried to spin this. She says this is all part of devolution and she's giving power back to the communities. Well, Reform MP Rupert Lowe struck back, stating the bleeding obvious. You don't give power back to communities by cancelling elections, Angela. This is unbelievably rich coming from Labour. Over the weekend, Labour's very own Baroness Harriet Harman was all over the media, saying that Nigel Farage and Reform were a threat to democracy.
They even said that he dressed up in a Santa costume. Some were waiting for an explanation. Others just wanted to hear a simple and sincere holiday message. Starmer stepped onto the screen, and his awkwardness was palpable. He started by wishing everyone good wishes for Christmas, but then everything went awry. He clumsily tried to explain his comments on Ukraine, confused everyone with the Labour Party's tax policy, and actually stated that Christmas is a time to give, just as we should give peace a chance in Ukraine. At that moment, you could almost hear the whole of Britain collectively groan in disbelief. What does he even mean by that? The representatives of the Labour Party were in complete shock. Social media exploded with memes, and opposition parties happily shared videos highlighting his failure. Even the supporters of the Labour Party publicly cowered in shame. As criticism poured in, Starmer's team tried to minimise the damage, but a more serious problem was brewing. An unexpected ultimatum was about to be laid on Starmer's desk, compared to which the failure of the Christmas appeal seemed like a trifle. Labour is facing a major crisis, and its leadership is under threat like never before.
Just getting back to this defence budget, Starmer knew he wasn't going to put that up. I don't care what anyone says. He will have predicted, he'll have enough experts whispering in his ear and saying this is the situation. He more than implied that, you know, the defence departments were going to get a fair share of money. They were going to be up in the ante. There was going to be new investment with them, bearing in mind the decline they've been in for the last 12 years or so, and it ain't going to happen. And you know what? He knew it wasn't going to happen. That almost verges on lies.
An anonymous source has revealed shocking information that could shake the foundations of British politics and cause a real panic among the main sponsors of the Labour Party. These donors don't just write checks for fun. They seek to influence and support the real winner. At the moment, Starmer looks less and less like a man capable of success. A group of leading sponsors of the Labour Party issued an ultimatum to Starmer: change course or resign. They demand that he publicly retract his comments on Ukraine, reshuffle his team, and adopt a more centrist policy, all within a week. Starmer's team is in a panic. On the one hand, they have the financial support of the party, and on the other, the principles they claim to defend.
The truth is, he didn't think this through. Cutting winter fuel payments isn't just callous. It may not make savings. It could actually cost us all more. And that's not the only policy which is making things worse. The Chancellor's budget is a body blow to family businesses and also charities. Marie Curie have warned that Labour's budget will cost them nearly £3 million a year. This is a cancer charity saying they have no option but to reduce services. Did the Chancellor tell the Prime Minister that her jobs tax was going to hit
Starmer's options are extremely limited. He may reject the demands of donors, but without their money, Labour's chances of winning the election will be in jeopardy. Or he can give in, risking becoming a puppet pulling the strings of his sponsors. This situation is radically different from the previous problems of the Labour Party with financing. Here we are talking about attempts by donors to dictate their terms to the party leadership, about a new level of influence that threatens the foundations of the party. Starmer has called an emergency meeting of the shadow cabinet, which is likely to be attended by ambitious politicians eager for his place. The clock is ticking, and the pressure from all sides is building to the limit. Starmer is going to make a move, but will it be the right one? Or is this the beginning of the end of his leadership? The political drama is far from over, and the Tories are probably enjoying every moment of it as they watch it all unfold. See you.